midnight celebration. You could do that.
Celestial celebration.
It's celestial, yeah.
Huh. So that would be the only way?
Yeah. That's the only way, because a day doesn't cut evenly into the year. Those two have nothing to do with one another. There's no reason why that would happen. So so in other words, let me say it another way, just because you're looking like you're looking off in space here. So there's New Year's. Okay, let's count 365 days. When we do that, our revolution.
Around the sun.
You rotate on an axis, you revolve around something else. That's those two words. Okay. How you use those two words. So we're not in this place, but we celebrate New Year's anyway. Well, when will we be in the same place? A quarter of a day later. So we would celebrate at 6 a.m.
Nobody's willing to do that.
No one's willing. And the next New Year at noon, then the next New Year at 6 p.m., and then the next New Year kind of aligns back again. Well, that's the leap day. That's the fourth year where you put in a leap day.
Oh.
See?
So it's our love of the day.
Yes.
That keeps us fucked up with the world when it comes to the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You pick one, and then that's how you do it.
And what the Mayans based it on the moon, right?
I didn't study their calendar as deeply as I should have and wanted to, especially back in 2012 when everyone said, "Oh, the Mayan calendar runs out, so therefore it's the end of the world."
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was the end of the world
because the Mayans said so. The Mayans said so.
Felt like that was back when, before that had happened. It was, George Bush was president in like 2007, and everybody was thinking, Jesus, this is going to be the end.
So every decade there's somebody predicting the end of the world.
Sure.
And I'm actually quite entertained by this exercise.
Do you remember when they had billboards all around LA just a few years ago?
No, that's a different end of the world. That's a guy with a radio podcast church that and then the underworld didn't come, and so he pushed it forward. So it's entertaining. We live in a free country. It's evidence that we live in a free country where freedom of speech is protected and you can practice any religion you want.
Right.
And they didn't learn much science in school.
That's part of it.
That's part of the fact that you have this in our world. I don't mind it, actually. I find it entertaining. But it becomes an issue if people such as that gain power over legislation, over the rest of us. Because this would count this as a personal belief. It's your personal belief the world is going to end on October 19th in the year. That's your personal. You're fine.
Right.
But if you now create laws that require I go with that, you just impose your personal belief on me. And your personal belief is not true for everyone. It's only true for you.
Yeah, that's a problem, right?
And an objective truth is true for everyone. So if you're gonna have governance, you're gonna want to base governance on what is objectively true, because it would apply to everyone, independent of your belief system.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And by the way, there are things that we're not sure are true yet that we're still researching. That's not what I'm talking about as an objective truth. Objective truths have been verified by multiple scientific studies, not just one study. This was the problem with the cholesterol study. There's a cholesterol study that set everybody on the course to drop their cholesterol levels, okay, saying it would be good for your heart and all the rest of this. Because a series of countries were studied where they had longevity and low heart disease and low cholesterol intake. That study happened to leave out France. That happened, it just wasn't in the study. And a couple of other places that have high cholesterol intake, but don't have higher heart disease. So that study was flawed, but it was hard to replicate it because it went over many years and it was thousands of people. And so everyone just jumped on it. You don't have a scientific truth, and this is a general problem with medical results, because the press is waiting at the journal editor's office. Here's a new study that shows that this gives you cancer. Oh, that must be true, and out comes the headline because you want to be the first to report it, and then that gets emblazoned in people's heads, and not everyone reads the follow-up. No one could duplicate that study. So there's a flaw. We don't even know what the flaw is. We know that no one else could get those results. So it goes in the dustbin of scientific research. Most research in any journal of the moment will ultimately shown to be wrong. That's the bleeding edge of science. It's a great place to be because you're in the trenches and you don't know what is true. You can't look up in the back
If
of the
anybody's
book what the
listening to this,
answer
I gotta
is to
take
double
such a
check.
shit.
You
I've
don't
had
even know
some
what the
burnt
question
umber,
is to ask half the
some
time.
burnt sienna and raw umber
It's
poops,
very frustrating
and
for people
definitely
that don't
some fucking
get it. And it's
Correct, but it's
chartreuse
exciting.
area.
It's exciting for the
For
science.
science.
It's exciting for
Allegedly.
knowledge.
Yes.
Period. It's constantly expanding and growing. It's very frustrating for people that really don't have the time and
raw
maybe
umber.
did get some outdated nutrition
The fuck
knowledge.
color
Or
is
they
that?
need an answer
20
right
years
Brown?
now. They need an answer right
Bitch, that's
Yeah.
brown.
right now, and religion in many ways gives you answers right now.
Motherfucker, it was
Without
burn
the need
umber.
to
Shit.
research it or to go on the frontier.
The lack of education and the lack of curiosity about it is one of the scariest things about new generations of kids, right? Like when the new generations are coming up,
Hey,
they
Bert
know less
Umber.
than the generation
Hey,
before.
Bert
That's when we
Umber.
really start to freak out.
How
That
you
would be a
doing,
problem.
baby?
Although I have good confidence in
shit.
30 and
It's
under.
gonna be so
And that millennial, how old do you have to be?
I think millennials have only ever known the internet and devices. So,
Recent,
but my son's marketing
Right,
terms, so you
right,
can market
right.
to them differently.
yeah.
To me, I would put them in the same bin, just as you
Oh,
were thinking.
fuck.
But they have a different relationship to science and technology.
Of course.
They don't fear the science or the technology. They embrace it because it has shaped the civilization that has enabled their social life.
It has, but through this, like one of the things tweeted, I think it was from Scientific American yesterday, maybe it was yesterday, that it's a little bit misleading. But
Nancy
one of the
Reagan's
things they said is only 64% of millennials have a strong belief in these things. Coasters.
Metal coaster?
Yeah. See,
What the hell is that?
Sticks. Yeah, that's the issue.
That's incredible.
It sticks when it gets moisture.
You know about this? We flip this over.
What happens? What?
Yeah, it'll stay. Yeah,
Oh, because of the pressure.
yeah, the air
I
pressure.
don't know if she needed it. I don't know.
Don't do it. I don't trust your
Honestly,
science.
it's a mouse question I don't know.
64% of what?
Of millennials are not, or only 64% are convinced that the world is a ball. The world is a circle. The world is a, what is it, a spheroid? Is that what it's called? Oblique.
I mean, I'd like to see how that question is asked.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if they know that we are oblate, and the thing is asking, is Earth a ball? They'll say, no, we're an oblate ball. We're slightly wider below the equator than at the equator, so we're a pear-shaped oblate spheroid.
But it's not a pear that you would find normally. If you found that pear, you'd be like, this fucking pear that's shaped like a ball.
So these differences in measurements are so small that if you found it on the ground, you would say this is a perfect sphere.
Right.
How good a sphere it is.
Right.
Right. You ever see the schoolroom globes, the geographic globes?
That's it.
That is a gross exaggeration of reality.
Yes.
Do you realize if you took Earth with all of its mountains, valleys, and hills and shrunk it down to the size of a cue ball, it would be smoother than any cue ball ever machined. Yes.
I love that.
Think about it.
That
What? Think about this. Joe.
Really?
Joe.
Everest?
Joe, chill. Listen to me. You ready? Okay. Do you know the deepest part of access to the deepest part of Earth's crust, the lowest point on Earth's surface? America, Japan, named the tallest peak, K2.
That's a good point.
The second part.
Right.
I'm not a mountain climber,
Yeah.
but I'm just thinking.
Where's K1?
Okay, wait, it's the Himalayan Mountains.
So it's
Okay.
K2,
In Nepal.
jump up.
Okay.
I'm going to climb the
Isn't it in
Eastern
Nepal? I
Station.
think it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so now how high up is that? It was 28,000 feet. So it's like 5 miles up. Okay?
Right.
The distance between the lowest point on Earth's surface
Near the grass
and the
Tyson is
highest point on
stupid.
Earth's surface is 11 miles.
K1, what a dumbass.
That's here to the comedy store.
That is less than the length of Manhattan.
I'll give you the link.
Yet we are
What
8,000
the fuck
miles
does
in
that supposed to
diameter.
mean, woman? It means whatever you want it to.
And those 2 points are very far separated from one another. If you were a cosmic giant and you came up to Earth and you rubbed your finger over Earth's surface, it would feel as smooth as a cue ball to you.
Yeah, dude, you just said that. But you said
In fact, in this book, I have a whole chapter called "On Being Round,"
K2's K1.
which is all about this.
Yo, dog.
It's all about our perception of what is round and what is not.
I had asked you to debate one of them flat, have them on Skype
No, what we do is, and I think this is a diabolical plot, so that the next time we can ship people en masse into orbit, they all want to be the first in line because they know we're going to send them.
I got it.
So they can see the round Earth. They're going to be the first ones in space.
Scale 1 to 10 it.
Just so they can stop annoying the rest
Scale
of
1
us.
to 10.
I don't think you're correct.
I
don't think you're correct.
You don't think it's a
I
diabolical plot?
do have people that I've met that don't believe because the problem with YouTube videos is it's a problem with a lot of things. But one of the things about being unchecked while you're discussing things is you can say things, you can looking manner,
Or do it passionately.
yes, passionately, convincingly, charismatically, and you're. Let me show you how you can prove that this is
I'll
incorrect.
show you objective
Scale
truths
1 to 10
But this is not happening.
that render your
You
argument
want me to
invalid.
scale 1 to 10
So
how
people
bad I
who don't
gotta
have
take
any
a shit?
education, and then they watch one of these YouTube
Pretty
videos,
massive.
they start actually believing
For
that
this?
this stuff makes sense because
Oh
it's
my
unchecked.
God.
And I would say it's not about whether they've
Oh
had
my
education.
God. I'm
It's
gonna
about
get
whether
this
the
shit on
education
fucking
they have
Instagram. It's gonna be
teaches them
splattered. It's
skepticism
gonna
of information.
execution style
It
against the
teaches them
porcelain.
how to inquire.
Execution
You
style
realize
against the
it's just as
porcelain.
intellectually lazy
Come on, you fuck.
to believe everything you see as it is
Oh
to
my
deny
crap.
Earth isn't flat.
Yo, dog.
Yet I tell them in the next breath that the entire universe was once as small as a marble. Right? Both of those sound equally preposterous. Except one has
You gotta
evidence to
take a
back it, and the other does not. And very strong scientific, theoretical, and experimental underpinnings. So when you are trained to inquire information that comes to you, that's what should be taught in school. And it's
Oh
not.
my God, I gotta take a shit.
They give you a book and they learn
Oh
this,
my God.
and you'll get
Oh
tested on
my
it.
God.
And when you're done, learn this.
Well, isn't also there's a problem with
Dude,
being inexorably connected to your first belief.
Dude,
When you have an idea and it's in your head, it's very difficult for people to shake that idea
Is presented
because
to
they
them.
connect themselves to these ideas.
Right.
It is who they are,
Right. And so that is not yet verified as objective truth.
and that's a very good thing to do.
It's one of the reasons why I don't have tattoos on my body. Holding Go on, stretching my face. Go on. One of the reasons is there's nothing I'm so sure about that I want to put it indelibly on my skin. Well, no, that's not. Let me say it differently. There's nothing I value in my mind, body, and soul so much in this moment that I want to indelibly etch it on. Because I want to leave room for me to have a possibly more enlightening thought at that moment. And since I count myself among the lifelong learners, I'm learning stuff all the time. It's like, wow, that's good. I didn't know that. Oh, that's even better.
What's something you learned recently that you went,
Okay, let me think. Okay, here's something I learned recently. I think I knew this when I was a kid, but if you're playing basketball and you're shooting, okay, and you say, oh, that didn't go in. Oh my gosh, well, the rim, they should maybe make the rim a little bigger. I can score off. Do you realize 2 basketballs can fit exactly side by side through the opening of a basketball? Yes.
I guess that makes sense.
2 basketballs.
Tough squeeze.
Now, it's not a cosmically mind-blowing moment, but that gives you perspective next time you watch a basketball game. It's how these guys can fly from the foul line in an airborne slam dunk and not miss. It's 4 times as large as the ball itself.
Right, because the different positions it could be in.
So there are multiple positions, and they can still do it. So it's not that that's easy to accomplish, but knowing this, you realize how much easier it is to score than you might have otherwise thought. Your
Jamie's
ball,
saying yes.
because that would throw
That
you
would
off.
throw off your hand.
You practice with this.
And a bigger ball.
They use a bigger ball as well?
We use a ball. Sometimes it's almost as big as the rim.
Oh, wait a minute. Is it heavier?
No.
No. You
I did a long time ago.
I bet they still don't. They no longer do it because. I bet they still don't. They no longer do it because then your grip is different. The grip matters.
Right.
Where your
it
2
feels.
hands go and what that feels.
Yeah.
So you want to do it, you use a smaller rim. And in baseball, you throw a faster pitch to give you less reaction time.
That pool table that you see
Use
out there,
a skinnier bat.
that pool table is a very small pocket opening.
Nice.
It's a 4-inch pocket opening as opposed to a 5.5 inch. It's
That's
quite a
good.
bit different.
You're doing it. You're
Yeah.
doing it. And So I would also, growing up, I played stickball in the street in New York. And so you're using basically a broom handle. So when the first time you play baseball, and so stickball players tend to transfer very well to baseball when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Because your instrument is bigger.
Did you ever read the talent code?
No.
Daniel Coyle?
No.
One of the interesting parts about it is Brazilian soccer players, how good they are. And he attributed it to a different game that they play with a heavier ball that they do indoors. It's a small, heavy ball. And because they do it in tight quarters, it involves incredible movement. And then these guys take that footwork and movement, and it translates amazingly well to an open soccer field.
I wonder if they calculated that, because what you would do is, let's say the ball weighs twice as much, then it would only go half as far as of the soccer game.
I think it was based on just trying to play a game in
Like how far are you going to throw it in? Over active, athletic. But I was squarely in the geek camp. Okay, I had my slide rule back in the day, walking down the corridor.
You were also wrestling.
I was captain in my high school's wrestling. Saw how my fellow geeks, because that's the community that I associated with card carrying, were treated, and the kids who are all beautiful for violence.
They also have brain damage.
As we come to discover.
What?